Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up. I'm Jim Price, and on this episode of Action Awareness, I want to talk about Catfight of the Kitty Cats. Catfight is a standard action that has you choose one of your minions, drawing cards equal to its power, and then destroying it in that order. Catfight is nothing new. Sacrifice has almost exactly the same text, with only minor wording differences, but both cards function exactly the same. And yet, this card takes on an entirely new context for the Kitty Cats. This is one of the canonical examples of why I love Smash Up so much more than Magic, besides the savings on my 12-year-old wallet, with respect to factions. The faction provides the context, and cards can take on an entirely new meaning and suddenly become a lot more useful. There are three main times when I play Sacrifice. I play it on Warbot, because I get a free 4 cards and keep my minion. I play it to farm a VP on Cave of Shinies. And extremely rarely, I play it when I am desperate. Sacrifice is a pretty terrible card for the wizards, because the card draw is based on power, and the wizard minions are underpowered. I'm definitely not sacking my Archmage, and definitely not doing so for less cards. When you sacrifice an Enchantress, you get the same cards as Mystic Studies, but lose your minion. And I don't think Mystic Studies is that good of a card, so this cannot be a very good play. And yet I play Catfight all the time, because the Kitty Cats give plenty of reasons to do so. Obviously, the minion has to be one that you control, but it's rarely one that stays in your control for long. The Kitty Cats take temporary control of other players' minions, which is long enough to destroy them for cards. Not only do you get to draw cards, which is almost always great, but you get to remove an opposing minion off the board. The more powerful the minion, the more cards you draw, and card draw is more important in the Kitty Cats than you may realize. The Kitty Cats are a particularly top-heavy faction. Their top half, the 4s and 5, are much greater in significance than the bottom half. Getting to them is imperative, as you can create a powerful engine where you can take control of a minion with Queen Fluffy and destroy it with Whiskers every turn. While this is great for taking out the smaller minions, it also gives a reason to play Mr. Grumpers. The -2 power until end of turn isn't much of a stall tactic, as it doesn't accomplish much unless it's the final ingredient in swinging a base, which is hard to do, because Mr. Grumpers by itself is 0 net gain, so you need an action boost, which the Kitty Cats do not provide. They just take up space in your hand. But if you can get to Whiskers and Queen Fluffy, suddenly you can start blowing up minions of power 5. But Catfight also solves a key Kitty Cat problem that is exacerbated by the Mr. Grumpers problem. You lack a lot of mid-game minions to play on the bottom half, because Muffin is an on-play, temporary effect. Muffin can be a great base finisher if you are within range, but that comes with a lot of risk and may be hard to line up mathematically. And having 3 minions as a base finisher is difficult, since it puts a lot of weight on drawing your other minions. Catfight solves this problem because it gives Muffin a reason to be played outside of a base-breaking context. You can grab control of a minion anywhere and immediately destroy it to draw 3 cards. It helps you maximize your turn using both of your plays while actively advancing your own cause. Most of the Kitty Cats' plays focus on slowing down opponents or finishing a base. Grumpiness is a loss of power, as is Hissy Fit. Cat's Paw and Invisible Bicycle tend to be finishers, and Ken Has Cheeseburger is obviously a special. What do you do with all those actions in the meantime? Catfight is an elegant solution that does both. It slows an opponent down while advancing your cause and giving you a minion to play in the form of Muffin. When you consider that most players tend to lead with their lower minions, the likelihood of grabbing and destroying a 3 is highly likely, and you can do this twice for a total of 6 cards. You'll use 2 Muffins, but now you have a very high chance of creating your 1-2 punch combo with Queen Fluffy and Whiskers, which is well worth it. Of course, the ability to exploit Catfight with indestructible minions still exists, as it does with Sacrifice. However, the Kitty Cats have an unusual way of pulling this off with Hang In There. Hang In There absorbs the destruction instead, moving the minion to another base. This can be strategic, as it's a way of consolidating power, particularly if it puts the base into Muffin range. I actually do this a lot with House of 9 Lives, as it saves an action. Because this is a card draw action, and the victim doesn't necessarily come from you, nearly every faction can benefit from this. And because it's a double feature, you stand a good chance of drawing at least one, with the possibility that the first Catfight will draw the other. Since I normally will try to link each video topic to other factions, I wanted to mention a few interesting pairings where that card draw really makes a difference. Of course, many of these combos also function the same as Sacrifice, but the kitty cat context may provide some interesting synergies where the wizards would not. Obviously, when you can catfight an indestructible minion, you get to keep the minion, but Uber Serum goes a bit further. It also increases the power, which increases your draw. The mad scientists love card draw, not because they lack it completely, but because that can set up a big angry mob play. And since the kitty cats already get an extra action from an indestructible minion, and do it twice, it's possible to draw a bunch of cards, angry mob most of those cards, then body shop the minion for a surge of power that you can divide anywhere. For a quick burst of cards, the Polar Commando is rarely equipped for such a play, and can be facilitated in a single turn. You may not want General Ivan out because it restricts your ability to destroy other players' minions after you steal them, but Polar Commando at least solves the catfight problem. If you cannot keep the minion, and it has to be yours, then you need to draw at least 4 cards to surpass drawing 3 cards from an opposing minion. My personal preference for this is the Howler, as it becomes the equivalent of drawing 2 cards twice, and since the Howlers are finishers anyway, ones that come in a high quantity, it actually works out to be a reasonable trade. This allows your Muffin to stay as your primary finisher, since you don't need both anyway. As you can see, I greatly prefer Catfight to Sacrifice. A relatively unused card for me became one I try to play both copies of, and it provides a benefit to me and a nuisance to you. What do you think of this card and the kitty cats overall? Let me know in the comments. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let's shut it down.